Tuah, 3, 4, hot Tuah, 3, 4. We come in peace. And for some hot Tuah.
Classic.
Not the aliens coming down for some of that hot Tuah.
No, what the aliens doing coming down for some hot Tuah?
Her. I bet he's thinking about other women. Him. Should I ask her to hot Tuah and spit on that thing?
Yeah. It's a conundrum,
Yes, you
isn't
should, King. Yes, you should.
This goes on for 5.5 minutes, this video. It's just him reading out unfunny Huck Tuah memes and pitching up his voice. For 5.5 minutes.
Stephen Hot Tuah.
That's gotta be disrespectful. Stephen Huck Tuah.
Did I tell you how to leave old buddy out of this?
How does someone watch 5.5 minutes of this? I know this isn't like the topic of this video. We're looking at the Talk Tuah podcast. But I just had to show this video at the start because I didn't think people out there actually thought Huck Tuah was this funny. So yeah, episode 2 of the Huck Tuah podcast just dropped. You get episode 2. Like Huck Tuah, Huck Tuah spit on that thing. And to say I was excited for this is really understanding it. I got asked by friends yesterday what my plans were and like if I wanted to do something, and I said, "Oh, sorry guys, I'm watching the Talk Tuah podcast, so I can't do anything." And that's true. As sad as it is, I'm not making that up. Now, since I made my video about the first episode of Talk Tuah, I've been exposed to a whole new world. I didn't really know too much about Haley Welch and the meme itself, but I somehow stumbled upon the most bizarre musical creation, the Huck Tuah freestyle.
If she don't Huck Tuah, I don't talk to her. I'm a box muncher and a twat tour.
Wow, it really is amazing how beautiful words can be sometimes. But yeah, Talk Tuah episode 2 came out yesterday, and honestly, I was very disappointed. It's only half an hour long. Can that even be considered a podcast episode? That's barely long enough to eat my dinner to. The wheels are really falling off the wagon here, and we're only on episode 2. I was hoping this would at least be an hour long so I could be serenaded off to sleep by the sweet sounds of Huck Tuah impressions and the recounting of tales relating to the Huck Tuah joke. Which is still funny, by the way, all these months later. And if you think otherwise, you just don't understand comedy. Like, look at this, look at this. Look, it's Angry Birds if it was Huck Tuah. Isn't that just the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your life? The first episode of the podcast was, shit.
Hot Tuah.
You gotta put like an emphasis on it, like tuh. You know, like really. Yeah. Say it. All right, all together.
Hot Tuah.
Hot tuh.
So let's hope episode 2 gets better. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. It might even be worse.
This is our little friend group right here. This is CQBO.
We can't tell you what that means. Nobody knows.
No, you will never know what it means.
Ah! Just tell me! I need to know! I guess this is just sort of what you get in for when you click on an episode of Talk Tuah. Various secrets and mysteries that you have to work out for yourself or figure out by continuing to watch. It's a very clever tactic to get someone to watch your podcast, really.
What does it mean?
It's top secret.
We'll die before I tell you what it means.
We told you we'd have to kill you.
There's one person we went to high school with who just happened to guess what it was. If you're watching this, keep your mouth
I
shut.
love how they bleep the person's name for some reason, as if anyone actually cares enough to like track them down and ask them what this means.
So the night it happens,
Okay.
we were all there. From your perspective,
Okay.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh boy, I wonder what story they're going to recount. It can't possibly be the only thing of note surrounding this podcast. I'm sorry, okay, I feel mean. Like, they're doing nothing wrong. They all seem nice enough, but this podcast is just immensely pointless and dull. Like, the parable of Huck Tuah isn't exactly going to be interesting, and that's all this podcast really has been so far.
I feel like we tell the story differently. Yeah, we definitely do. You like to add details in there, and I'm like, that didn't happen. Maybe it did. I don't know. I was also a little
I know, you're
not
trying to
in the
get
right
away
mind.
from there too, though.
Yeah.
While I was standing there holding my own.
Okay, so we were all there. You were there.
I was there.
Except you weren't there.
I weren't with, I wasn't with y'all.
Okay, we're all at the CMA Fest. We all went together, right?
But we sat together.
Yeah, we all sat together.
Wow, you all sat together? Oh, thanks for letting me know. Your storytelling abilities are phenomenal. You were born to be podcast co-hosts. I'm sorry. I feel mean again. This is just so podcast. Like, there's just nothing being said here. And this is a high budget podcast. They've got a big budget. Like, you find with some of the higher budget podcasts, because they have the budget to hire things like producers and stuff like that, they can typically flow a lot better than someone who is just basically starting out doing a podcast. But this is just like as if anyone started a podcast from scratch.
Y'all had to come get me after. And I remember I got in the car, and you said, we messed up. I said, why? You said, we did a street interview. And I said, what did y'all say? And you were like, I don't even know what we said.
I was...
But we were all like, oh.
The issue with making a video on something like this is there is so little to talk about because none of the conversation is of any note. With the first episode, there was at least someone experienced carrying the conversation, so it sort of went somewhere. Still not anywhere remotely interesting because this is the Talk Tuah podcast after all. There is kind of a ceiling to how interesting it can be, but it was probably enough to consider it a passable episode of a podcast for something based off a 2-word joke told like 3 months prior. This episode, however, has absolutely nothing of merit at all. It is just 4 friends having a conversation and not telling stories very well. There's then a portion of the podcast where Haley talks about how her relatives reacted to her being a viral sensation for what is essentially a blowjob joke.
When I told her, I had to explain it to her like 3 times, and she was like, I don't get it. And I was like, Granny, listen to what I'm saying to you. I was like, spit on it. And she's like, huh. Oh.
Yeah, Nan. So I went, Huck Tuah, spit on that fang. Meaning someone's willy.
I don't know who the hell that was.
You go to meet your attorney.
This is a really small and stupid nitpick, but why is everyone, except the big dog and her mate from the video, so quiet? Isn't this podcast funded by like a massive betting site or something? Couldn't they afford 2 more mics? It is a really small thing, but it is actually quite a big thing when doing a format that is primarily audio based. Like, this is absolutely not a passable episode of a podcast. You would not be able to properly listen to this on something like Spotify where you don't sort of have the visuals there as well. You'd be constantly turning it up and down. I'm over analysing the Talk Tuah podcast again, aren't I?
Then you have Granny over here just spit on it. Hot Tuah.
She said it! She said the thing! Huck Tuah!
Well, she doesn't even say hot Tuah, she's hot Tuah.
Ah! Now that is a fascinating twist in the tale. So it's actually Huck Tuah, but her grandmother says Huck Tuah. Fascinating.
Nobody thinks what I think. Stop what you're doing right now. I'm serious. Whatever app you have open right now, close it. Whatever text you're reading, shut that down. Trust me, I'm doing this for you. Now take your finger and head over to the App Store and download Better.
Oh yeah, you were sending a message to a loved one or something stupid and cringe like that? Shut that shit down. Go be productive and download Jake Paul's fucking betting app. She's doing this for you. She's doing this for your benefit, not hers and Jake Paul's. She's doing this for you. Did you not know there is just free money out there that Jake Paul and Haley Welch are just giving away? Like, these guys are so generous. Not only do they make a phenomenal podcast, they also just give away free money. Oh, it's so nice. But that bit where she goes, trust me, I'm doing this for you. Come on, you are not doing this for the audience. You're not getting them hooked on gambling for their own benefit. Come on, be real. Like, being honest, I'm not that arsed if you want to promote a betting site or whatever. But don't sit there and go, no, yeah, this is for your benefit. Just say what it is. It's a gambling site. It is not for anyone's benefit. You will most likely lose money if you sign up to it.
Better Picks is the most easy and fun daily fantasy app where you can win up to 1,000 times your money. And new users, you'll get up to $200 as a deposit match.
Why are there so many cuts? Can she only memorize like 4 words at a time? To be honest, I'm not one to talk. Whenever I have to read something for like an ad read or whatever, I could just cheat because I wear sunglasses and just like look down to the script.
Tell your friends to sign up and how you could turn $1 into 1,000.
Yeah, rope your friends in on your gambling addiction as well. Oh, actually, no, not gambling addiction. Investing and hustling addiction. It's like the old saying. You gotta spend money to make money. And with this, it's like having a magic machine where if you put $1 in, you get 1,000. She really is a saint for promoting such a wonderful service. And it has no downsides at all. Remember, she's doing this for you. She's doing this for you guys. Such a selfless act.
Harley came
When
out.
Harley comes out, there's
You
no
better
getting.
run.
You can talk to her, but she's not all there.
You gotta explain what Harley is.
Harley is your alter ego that,
When I drink dark liquor, that is Harley.
yeah. Once Harley comes out, there's no going back until Harley is
Done. Put down.
So you're telling me Haley Welch, aka Huck Tuah Girl, has a dark side to her? She's got like a Joker in her, like I do. Whenever I drink too much Doom Bar at Weatherspoons, I start to go crazy, burning napkins in the corner and talking about the pyramids and Stonehenge. I assume Haley, or Harley even, does a similar thing.
Let's talk about the time Haley punched her ex in the face.
I actually smacked
It was
him
not
in
like
the
a
face.
smack. It was like a hard whack.
What?
I don't know if he was joking or not. You can't joke around with me too much because I'm like really hot-headed and I take it a little too far. He bumps into me and spills Dr. Pepper all down me. I had a reflex and I reared back and I 5-starred him right in his face, and it got so quiet.
I maybe take back when I said she seemed nice enough. This isn't the second episode of the podcast, mind, and she's already admitting to hitting her ex over accidentally spilling a drink on her. That's a crazy speed run. I'm actually a bit stunned because most of this podcast is absolute drivel, but when I heard this, I had to rewind and make sure I heard that right, and it wasn't something my brain made up while I was in a trance. That's a mental thing to just admit on the second episode of your podcast. Well, that's pretty much episode 2 of Talk to Her. There's really nothing else to talk about. It's just half an hour of recorded idle conversation. And that's the thing, it's only half an hour. And the last 3 minutes is her sat in the car. So that's not really part of the podcast, I guess. But it feels so much longer because there's just not much being said at all. And what is being said isn't being said very well. Like, the conversations aren't engaging at all. As I say, it just feels like 4 friends sat around having an idle conversation. I know I'm over-analysing the fucking Talk to Her podcast, okay? But it is shit. The first episode was phenomenal in comparison to this. It's like they're phoning it in already on the second episode. I fear Talk to Her may be falling off, and it's a shame because it was my favourite podcast. I've spent the last week going round and recommending it to my friends and family and anyone that would listen, and I've been made to look a fool because this episode sucks. I made them all subscribe to that thing, and you post this? I'm upset beyond belief. I need to work on earning the people around me's trust back, so like and subscribe to this thing, this channel. Do it. Not that one, she disappointed me. This channel. Subscribe to that thing.